I want to run through what's called the straight line theory. So when it comes to marketing in the context of coaching, we obviously want to sell an online coaching offer. It's technically why we're all here, obviously. Now, how we sell this online coaching offer and how we make money is using social media. And to be able to get someone's attention on social media, we all know that we need to be posting content, right? It's pretty obvious that that's how we're going to get people's eyeballs. When we have this straight line, because what we're going to run through is what's called the straight line theory, we need to have a straight line through our entire business for prospects to smoothly move through different stages so they can ultimately become a client. So when we look at the first touch point with someone, complete stranger in the world, it's going to be the content that we create. Now, to establish the first part of this straight line, we need to be clear on a couple of things so someone can move through our pipeline efficiently. We all know that we need to have a niche. We need to have clear messaging. And then we need to be able to clearly demonstrate and communicate that we can help somebody get from A to B. When we have this content going out and it's niche specific content, you're going to have people to start moving through your pipeline. So we establish the first part of the line. Someone comes from scrolling on the news feed to seeing your ad or seeing a piece of content that is ultimately niche specific content. So now they start coming into your world. They start coming into your sales funnel. Now, provided that we do a relatively good job of communicating, helping someone get from A to B, the second part of the line moves down and prospects move down and they get to the final part. That's not the final part of the overall process, but they get to the main objective, which is to sell our offer. Now, at the end of the day, all of us want more money, right? We all want to scale the business. We all want more clients. And the only way to get more money and more clients is to have more people buy our offer, right? I feel like I'm explaining this as dumb as I can right now because I'm trying to drill home a really clear point here is that this is how your marketing funnel works. We post content provided that it's niche specific content and we can clearly communicate and demonstrate, these are two different words, communicate and demonstrate that we can help somebody get from A to B. At some point, they will buy our offer. If it feels aligned for them, if it feels like the right fit for them, you know, there's obviously a lot of other considerations within them buying, but this is how your sales funnel will work. Now, most coaches think that they have a problem either in their content or they think they have an issue with their offer. Oh, maybe my offer is not specific. Maybe it needs to be 12 weeks or maybe it needs to be 16 weeks or maybe I need to say 12 kilos instead of 15 kilos. Like they start to hyper analyze the offer and hyper analyze the content. Most people could definitely go and improve their content for sure. There's always room for improvement with content. We know this. But majority of the time, your issue in your sales pipeline in terms of you converting more people into clients isn't an offer problem. It isn't a content problem. It's a communication problem. Whoops, I just locked my iPad. It's a communication problem in this stage of your pipeline. You have an issue here with your messaging. And what happens is when we are not effectively communicating, we get a break in the line. You might have content going out that's talking about women's hormones and weight loss, Chrissy or Jai. You might be talking about hybrid guys and their training, whatever it might be. Your content might be doing the thing it needs to be doing. You might be getting views and followers, but people aren't moving through your pipeline. And you're like, well, why are people not moving through your pipeline? It's because your content line, you know, your straight line theory, it's not a straight line anymore. Your line kind of goes like this. You have this wacky line. And it's zigzagging like this is because your niche, messaging, and or positioning are off. It's generally not the niche. It's usually the last part. You are not communicating that you can help someone get from A to B. There's a lack of communication, which causes the break in the line. So that's what we're going to dig into today, is just how we can prevent that break from happening between niche, messaging, A to B into offer. How do we do that? Well, we need to zoom in on good old Sally. I've changed Sally's name. Sally's name is now Johnny. I'm preferring Johnny. So you got Johnny over here, right? Little old Johnny's at point A. Johnny's got some goals. He wants to get to point B, lose weight, run faster, gain muscle, get a girlfriend, whatever the heck it is. Johnny's desiring point B. He's stuck at point A. But right now he faces this big question in his mind of not knowing how to get to A to B. He's wandering around on social media, watching reels and videos and YouTube stuff and downloading things. He's in a state of consumption, figuring out, how do I get to point B? Johnny's a little bit confused. He's in solution searching mode, right? And this is when we're talking about different levels of awareness in terms of people buying. Solution aware is the final stage someone is in before they buy something. They just haven't found the solution that they go, yes, that's the thing that I need. Your job is to be ahead of little old Johnny. You're over here with, oh, that's a pretty terrible shaped head. Hopefully you don't have a head shape like that. You're over here, right? And you have this pair of binoculars where you understand Johnny's situation better than Johnny does. So you know about all of Johnny's problems. You know about all of Johnny's pains. You know about all of his dreams. Oops, dreams, desires, objections. Beliefs. Now, how do you know this? Because you have done all of the work to get clear on Johnny's point A, i.e. your niche and offer exercise. When you spent the time with your binoculars zooming in on Johnny's situation, you should have a very, very good understanding on what? Johnny's point A. Once we know exactly where Johnny's at, what does that give us? Jai, it's a question.
Gives us topics to address in our content and how to message it.
Yeah. Yep. What are some like words that could describe what we have?
In terms of like the actual topics themselves, or like how we refer to that?
So when we get clear, try and make this a little bit nicer on the handwriting. When we get clear on Johnny's situation, we have clarity on his situation, which then allows us to have specificity. It's a big word, specificity, right? We then get specificity, which then allows us to be descriptive in our marketing. When we can be descriptive, we're on social media talking about pains or problems or desires or whatever it might be. We're being really descriptive with this. What does little old Johnny over here start to think?
Starts to think we know exactly what he's dealing with.
Precisely. Johnny goes, Chrissy's saying all of these things, and it's like she's like standing in my mind. Like I think these things, but I've never verbalized it. How does Chrissy know this? How does Jai know that I'm facing this thing when I've literally never told anyone except think about it? Well, Johnny, I know these things because I've spent a ton of time getting clear on exactly where you're at. I know Johnny, what your point A is. I know exactly where you're at. And that's all good and well, is to be able to understand where Johnny is. But at the same time, if we then don't do a good job at, this is where the break happens in your line. If we then don't do a good job of communicating how we can help Johnny get to point B, Johnny's not going to buy from us, because he's going to not see that we can actually help him get to point B. He knows that we understand his situation, but we haven't demonstrated that we can help him get to point B. How can we show John that we can help him? This is a question.
First thing comes to mind is like a case study of someone in his position.
Yeah, 100%. So like case study is definitely going to be one. But like another one is like zooming out a little bit more, is being able to communicate, with detail and just going to write demo for demonstrate. We need to be able to demonstrate that we can help him get there. So if Johnny's at point A, if we can effectively communicate his point A and also communicate what point B is going to be like with detail, because we understand little old Johnny's situation and we can talk about how we can help him get from A to B, he's going to start to see us as the person who can help him get to point B. Like, this is super obvious stuff, but like, he's going to understand like, oh shit, Jai's been saying all of this stuff. I'm here at point A. He's talking about point B. It's like he knows exactly where I'm at. Like, I am facing all these problems, and yeah, I do really want to get to where he's going. And Jai keeps talking about all of these different ways how he's helped clients. He talks about, look at doing things this way, and he broke a belief that I have that made me think differently about this, and he made me feel a feeling that I realized I had, that I wasn't connecting the dots with me not being at point B. And you start to really increase a lot of awareness with little old Johnny, where he goes, holy shit, you really understand where I'm at. And you are consistently demonstrating to me, whether it be through knowing a lot of shit or showing client results or just continually talking about the problems. He's going to start to go, wow, you know your shit. You know what? I'm going to reply to your keyword story that you just put up, because for the last 3 months, I've been watching you effectively communicate to me through your stories, through your content, where I feel like I trust you and you seem to know your shit. So I'm going to reach out and let's do this thing. The problem that I see coaches run into with this scenario is they get stuck with the communication and detail side of things. More specifically, if we look at this, they're not being descriptive in their marketing. What they do instead is, a lot of coaches are vague. They just talk like, I'll help you get strong. I'll help you run further. You'll lose weight and feel good. Like, feel good, run further, build muscle. Like, what does that mean specifically? They lack that descriptive angle in their marketing, which ultimately makes them blend in. Or there's just nothing special about it. So Johnny over here isn't looking at you going, yeah, wow, you're the one who really knows your stuff. You just talk about vague things all the time, and nothing is specific enough to go, holy shit, that's exactly me. Why does this happen? Well, I find that the vagueness comes from cramming everything into one message. And when I say one message, it's looking at the big problem and then looking at the big desire, and they just communicate the big things. Are you struggling with being overweight and not running fast enough? Well, I'm going to help you get here. And they only ever market that. They just talk about the big problem and the big desire. But in reality, there's tons of little problems and little desires that your person has. And what you need to do is market just to those things in the daily, which ultimately adds up as time goes on, because there's going to be tons and tons of these little problems that they face. They don't know how to integrate, a chest day. No, they don't know how to integrate leg training jai without it impacting their run the next day. They don't know which carbohydrate source is best to feel the best in their running on. So that's a problem and desire. They don't know, Chrissy, if they should be eating carbohydrates in the morning or not, or if that's going to make them fat. There's so many of these little problems that they run into every single day with these little desires or solutions that they're seeking that you can market to. But if anyone's like, if either of you that are on this call anyway are following along, when we are communicating just to one of these problems and desires, what does that allow us to do? It allows us to get really, really specific with our words because we're just talking about one thing. We don't have to try and cram in 50 different things into one sequence of stories or one post because we're just trying to solve one problem in the post. Whereas most coaches, they just try and talk about the big problem and the big desire, which makes their marketing feel repetitive, or it ends up making their marketing feel really sort of vague because we don't have 20 slides to break down the big problem and the big desire. So we default to vague words and vague sentences, trying to cram everything in a shorter time frame. But instead, if we were just focusing on marketing to one small problem every single day and one small desire or outcome that they're seeking, what you start to do is have a consistent rhythm every day where little old Johnny's over here watching you. Every day you're talking about all sorts of different things, pains, problems, dreams, desires, objections, beliefs. And all you're doing every single day is you're just stacking pennies on the scale for him where he trusts you. It's just like a daily deposit. Imagine this is a trust account. It's got to be full before he'll buy. Every single day, one of those little posts just equates to a little bit more trust, a little bit more trust, a little bit more trust, a little bit more trust. Oh, wow. Holy shit. This person really knows what the fuck they're talking about. Oh, wow. Chrissy is so good. Like every day I see her talking about all these different things all the time. Yeah. You know what? I really do trust her. I really do see her as the expert to help me. So I'm going to reach out. And I know that this is my woman because she is being so descriptive and so clear in her marketing all the time that I feel like I'm being heard, that she truly understands me. That's how we prevent this break from happening in a line back up here in the initial diagram. This is how we make sure that your prospects are actually moving through this section here into your offer. Most of you don't have a niche problem. Most of you have a messaging and communication problem. Majority of the time, it's just communicating. You actually know what to talk about in your messaging. It's just being able to effectively communicate that and detail and have detail with that. Also being able to demonstrate it as well. So if you have client results, fantastic. But this is how we win people over. This is how people buy your stuff. So what I would encourage you to do after watching this is you over here looking at little old Johnny's list of things. Maybe you don't have this list. Maybe you don't have full optics on all of the problems, all of the pains, all of the desires, all of the objections. Maybe you aren't seeing all of these things. Or maybe you are, but you're not effectively communicating those things. You're not verbalizing the problems with clarity. You're not talking about the desires with specificity. You're not breaking the limiting beliefs that they have. When it comes to marketing, it can be very easy to slip into autopilot. Do you want to get in shape and feel good without spending hours in the gym? My hybrid blueprint's going to get you there. How fucking boring does that sound? Like, why the heck would someone want to buy that? It just sounds like, coach number 471,000 on the newsfeed that day. So what I would encourage you to do is go and create a document on all of these things here: problems, pains, dreams, desires, objections. When I say objections to like either getting the result that you promise people, or objections to working with you, or just objections they might have in general, and then any limiting beliefs that they may have. I would encourage you on this document to write 10 for each one of these. Because if you were to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to end up with at least 60 things, 50 to 60 things on that list. Now, when you look at your daily stories, you've got 60 days worth of shit to talk about. And to be honest, you could splinter off those 60 ideas into 10 individual angles and topics in itself, where you have 600. I can guarantee you that you could do it. Like, it would not be hard. All of this stuff is really important for, yes, making more money. But the point that I'm trying to get at here, and this is the one takeaway that I want from this sort of little educational run through with you guys, is if you want to have Johnny, this guy right here, if you want Johnny and you want to help him get to point B, you need to communicate with detail and demonstrate that you can help him. But it comes down to this word right here. You need to be descriptive. You need to have specificity. If you don't have these things in your marketing, you're going to default to saying really generic terms that don't land for the prospect. If you want a screenshot of this, Jai, I can hold this just here for you as well. I see.
I got it all.
See you drawing it. You got it. Chrissy, Jai, what's some like takeaways from listening to this? What are you getting from this? What questions do you have?
I'm just excited now because it's one of those things where I've always, as you've said, I look at it as this big blanket thing of like, how can I help this person get to here? How can I talk to them? When you just said it just then, and it's something that, it's so simple, is just break it down into smaller things. Like with the stories, rather than saying, look at all these cool results, go into one result and tell the story of that one result.
Precisely.
That's much more relatable.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, let me pull this up. So the stories that I put up yesterday, I'm kind of doing, it's not necessarily like a 7-day straight promo, but I'm doing 7 days of promoting legacy at the moment. You guys would have seen it in my stories. Mm-hmm. My story sequence that I posted yesterday was on one thing. And if I was to take you back to the iPad drawing, I won't, but we'll go back to it, is when you're marketing, your objective is to talk about one singular thing, specific as well. Don't talk about 500 different things in your stories. So yesterday, my one specific thing was handling an objection. That objection is, if I niche down, I'll lose potential clients, because they fear that specificity will actually shrink their audience instead of magnetizing it. It's a very, very common objection and limiting belief that fitness coaches have moving online, is that they think if they niche down, they're going to lose half of the ability to grow their business. When in actual fact, it's the opposite. So that was my one thing, right? Now let's actually dig into the stories that I wrote. Saying I help busy people lose weight is the exact reason why you're broke. This kind of messaging is vague and nobody listens to you. Getting super specific is what makes you stand out against everyone saying the same things. So right here, I'm getting deep into their mind and their current circumstance. Every fucking day I see people's Instagram accounts. I help busy professionals lose weight. It's like the most common bio I see. And it's like, this is why you're broke. It's like speaking straight to those people who have that in their bio. This messaging is vague and no one listens to you. So I'm trying to get specific with this, make them really understand my point. Then I back it up with getting super specific is what's going to make you actually stand out against everyone saying the same thing. So they go, oh, what do you mean? So then in my second slide, I look at amplifying things. When you speak to everyone, you attract no one. That's why you stay capped at a few grand online. This line is very specific. Most coaches who think like how I'm trying to break the belief of, they are only making a couple of $1,000 online because of this one problem. Being a generalist who helps anybody with a pulse makes you blend into the feed. You look like coach number 471 who offers the same thing, which holds you back from reaching new levels. So I'm like trying to like press the bruise on their shin. I'm like amplifying things. But what am I doing here is I'm getting specific and detailed with where they're at. Then, like what you said, Jai, instead of spamming 50 screenshots, I just pull up one screenshot. But I tie it back to the topic that I'm talking about. Max narrowed his niche right down. Now he's doing 20K months. Every big breakthrough I've seen came after someone went narrower, not deeper, not broader. So now I'm like really trying to rub it in of like, if you go deep, you'll get this result like Max. A narrowed niche positions you as the expert. Content becomes easy. Your ads actually work. Sales feel easy because prospects instantly know that this is for me. So now I really drive home like the benefit or the impact that they're going to get when they actually do this thing. Then my final call to action, or final slide with the call to action, is driving home the final point. If you're done blending in and you're ready to stand out, then DM me Legacy. We'll get you on the team. Here's what we do. Here's the specific outcome that I help you with, right? So I'm telling Johnny right at the end, I'm restating point B where Johnny wants to get to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's so helpful. Like, oh, I saw them. I thought, oh, good, but it's cool how you break down the exact pathway and the purpose of each one as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Chrissy, what's all this doing for you?
Yeah, this is really good. Just kind of, I'm sorry, I'm in the dark now. Just what we were talking about before, about things that I've become aware of only today or in the last few days. And actually, that would really help with my stories as well, because I get a little bit overwhelmed, but there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So when you get more specific and break it down, it's like, wow, actually, that makes total sense. Yep. Cool. That's great. That's really good.
Do you have questions?
No.
So if you're looking at like a sequence of stories, when we're looking at creating that sequence, however many slides you want to do or whatever it is, your job when you're creating these, let's not use the highlighter, is to one thing. You're just talking about one thing with these story slides. There's not 500 things that you're talking about. If you want your story slides to feel easy, talk about one problem. The one I just demonstrated to you guys was just talking about a belief. Now, how did I figure out that one thing so I don't feel overwhelmed to what to talk about, Chrissy? Well, I have this.
Yeah.
What am I going to talk about today? Fucked if I know. All right, let's go look at the list. Oh, I can see a problem that I could talk about today. Cool. I'm going to talk about that. And then I run it through the filter. Is this where Johnny's at? Okay, cool. Well, how can I talk about that problem, make Johnny see that that's going to help him to get to point B? How can I communicate that with detail? Well, that's why I use that GPT tool now, because I'm lazy and it just does the job for me. I then just push back on that GPT tool sometimes. And I usually say these two words. I say, hey, this is a really good sequence, but it's missing some specificity. Or, hey, can you do this again, but can you use more descriptive words?
That's good.
Usually when you do that in that GPT, it comes back with something that's a lot sharper, especially if you've done a good job at just looking at dealing with one problem in that sequence or one topic that you want to talk about. Because it'll know, all right, well, we're just talking about this. I can get more descriptive with that. But just like what your brain does, and then you try and get ChatGPT to do it and it doesn't do it, and then you get pissed off, is if you talk about, so I wrote problem really big here, if you just talk about the big problem, it results in vague messaging. Vague messaging ends up with question marks above Johnny's head. Oh, you just talk about getting stronger and feeling better all the time. What do you actually do? Make sense, Tim?
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great. Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy about today.
This is your marketing 101. This is like, just like, I guess, circling back to this. Most of you don't have a problem with your content. Some of you could improve content for sure. You could get better at talking or whatever it is. Yep, there's always room. We generally know the niche that we want. Sometimes we're not clear on our messaging, but I'd argue that sometimes it's not even a messaging thing. Most of the time, I think with the people that I work with, I think they actually have a breakdown in being able to effectively communicate how they can help someone get from point A to point B. And it's not always just saying, here's how I'm going to help you lose weight. but it's effectively communicating their point A to them. It's effectively communicating the point B where they want to get to. It's talking about the bridge, which is your program, how you get them there. It's always just talking about those things in specifics. And then when you can do that, making offers and selling them becomes a lot easier because there is one clear, straight line through your entire sales pipeline. And in reality, there are only 3 core areas where you probably have a problem in your sales pipeline. Most people are fine with their content. It's usually this bad boy in the middle that we just spent the last sort of 35 minutes going over.
Yeah, it's great.
But team, that's the straight line theory. And you know what's really interesting? From firsthand experience, I had a massive break here and here in my business over the last 6 months. And what happens when you have a break is your line ends up looking a little like this. And then whenever you try and sell your program, people go, no, I don't want it, because they don't even know what you do, because this might have been messy or this might have been off. I've recently have fixed that. Immediate uptick in sales. I have a straight line that goes the whole way through now. Sales coming through.
It's so funny because remember the other day you were saying that when you batch script, if you do too much, you'll go back and go, "Oh no, this is shit now. I don't want to do it." And then after today, I'm going, "Yeah, I'm not using any of these scripts. I want to start again now." Lisa.
Yeah.